Today, we're not just talking about some dry textbook process. Nope, we're diving into a real high-stakes challenge. A mystery, really. One that every single project leader has to solve if they want to survive, let alone succeed, in that tough boardroom environment.
So just imagine this scene for a second. That quote, that's you. You're the project manager, and you had the perfect plan, right? I mean, it was a masterpiece of foresight. You even saw this exact threat coming. You predicted it. And yet, here you are, standing in the wreckage of a $50 million project. The plan was flawless, but the project, it still crumbled into dust.
So that right there, that is the central question. It's the lethal mystery we're going to crack wide open in this explainer. Why? Why does a perfect plan fail? What's that missing piece of the puzzle that turns brilliant foresight into a total disaster? I want you to keep that question right at the front of your mind as we go.
All right, let's start our investigation. We're going to begin with something I like to call the paper PM syndrome. And trust me, this isn't just some catchy phrase. It's a career killer. Seriously, it's probably destroyed more project management careers than simple incompetence ever could. Understanding this is absolutely the first step to making sure it doesn't happen to you.
Okay, so here's our number one suspect, the paper PM. Think of this person as a librarian of risk, not a leader of a project. They are fantastic at creating these beautiful, detailed documents, right? Risk registers, heat maps. They look amazing. And then, what do? They file them away. They literally document the exact disaster they see coming, but they don't do anything about it. They just watch it happen. And that passive approach, that's a one-way ticket to failure.
So, how do we fight back against that? Well, we need ammunition. And in project management, our ammunition is our inputs. Now, these aren't just documents you stick in a folder. No way. This is live intelligence coming straight from the front lines that you need to actively fight and control risk.
You got to think of these inputs as a living, breathing system. Your risk register, that's your map. It shows you the known threats and, critically, their triggers. Those little tripwires that tell you a risk has just gone from maybe to happening right now. But a map is totally useless without real-time intel. And that's where work performance data comes in. This is the raw truth from the field, telling you exactly which tripwires have been hit and whether your countermeasures are even working. And this is exactly why that ground truth is so critical. There's this concept called risk decay. See, a risk you identified 3 months ago might be a completely different beast today. Its probability, its impact, it all changes. Relying on old info is like using an old map to get through an active battlefield. You have to be fighting what's in front of you now, not what you thought would be there weeks ago.
Okay, so we've got our ammunition. Now we need the right tools to actually use it. We need to process that raw data, turn it into a winning strategy, and uncover those problems that might be lurking just under the surface. This is where we get hardcore and factual. No more feelings, just data. Are we actually building what we said we would? You know, if you're building a system and your transaction speeds are 15% slower than planned halfway through the project, that's not a gut feeling. That's a hard fact. This analysis gives you the cold, undeniable data you need to prove your technical goals are in serious trouble. And this is brilliant. It shows you the financial side of the fight. So you've got this pot of money, right? Your contingency reserve, set aside for when things go wrong. Well, as risks happen, that pot of money gets smaller and smaller. A smart leader is constantly asking, do I have enough safety net left for the dangers that are still coming my way?
And here's what that looks like in the real world. This chart is basically a giant red flag. See the bar on the left? That's your remaining risk, and it is high. Now look at the bar on the right. That's your contingency reserve, and it is dangerously low. Your safety net is shrinking just when the biggest dangers are right around the corner. This isn't a hunch. This is hard proof you can walk into a boardroom with and demand action.
And finally, the best leaders, the real pros, they don't just manage the risks on the page. They audit the process itself. They're asking the tough questions like, are we even following our own procedures? Is the team actually equipped to handle this stuff? This right here, this separates proactive leadership from the passive management that always leads to failure.
Look, all the analysis in the world means absolutely nothing if it doesn't lead to action. So now, let's focus on the outputs. These are the concrete steps that turn all our data into real decisions and steer the project away from the rocks.
This is where the magic happens.
Raw data becomes genuinely useful information. It's like we're crossing a bridge from just knowing random facts to having real, actionable insights. So it's not just about knowing that a bug was fixed, it's about knowing how effective that fix actually was. This is the kind of contextualized info leaders need to make smart, strategic moves.
And this is the trigger. This is how you take action. When you find out a response plan isn't working, you don't just make a note of it. You issue a change request. This is you formally and actively steering the project away from disaster. This is the leader grabbing the ship's wheel and demanding a course correction right now.
Now, this whole idea of active monitoring, it doesn't look the same on every project. You have to adapt your strategy to the methodology you're using. So let's take a quick look at how this pulse of monitoring is different between the two big project styles. What you see here are two totally different philosophies. On the left, you've got waterfall. It's all about control and permission. If you want to change the plan, you have to go through a formal, sometimes slow authorization gate. But on the right, you've got agile. And agile is all about learning and speed. Instead of asking for permission, the team might just run a risk spike, a super quick, focused experiment designed to answer a key question and kill uncertainty fast. One's about authorization, the other's about rapid discovery.
So, we've gathered the evidence, we've gone through the strategist toolkit, and we've even looked at different approaches. We have officially reached the end of our investigation. We are ready to solve the boardroom mystery.
All right, let's circle all the way back to where we started. That perfect plan, that brilliant foresight. Why did it still end in total failure?
The answer is so simple, but it's incredibly powerful. It's the execution gap. See, the failure wasn't in the plan. The failure was in the gap between that beautiful plan and the disciplined, active, continuous monitoring and doing something with that plan. A project manager who stops at planning is just an archivist for a failure that's about to happen.
And this gap, it creates something we call a watermelon project. You've probably seen one. On all the official status reports, everything looks green, healthy, totally on track. But if you were to slice it open, you'd see it's deep blood red on the inside, just rotting with unmanaged risks that are seconds away from causing a total collapse. So what's the big takeaway here? What really matters? Your value as a leader isn't about identifying problems on a piece of paper. It's found in closing that execution gap. It's found in the continuous, data-driven, real-world adjustment of solutions. You are the unifying control system, the person who ensures success not by luck, but by deliberate, active design. And that is how you solve the boardroom mystery.